Hi, non-duality challenges our deeply ingrained beliefs, logic, and societal concepts. It questions the very fabric of what we've been taught to accept as reality. At first, this idea can seem bewildering and counterintuitive, as it stands in stark contrast to the dualistic way of thinking most of us have grown up with. Our education, cultural norms, and societal structures all reinforce the idea of separation and individuality. However, non duality invites us to look beyond our five senses and logical constructs. It suggests that to truly live a fulfilling life, we might need to reassess our fundamental paradigms. This means letting go of the idea that our happiness and peace are dependent on external circumstances or achievements. Instead, it encourages us to recognize that true contentment lies in embracing the present moment and accepting things as they are. Reflecting deeply on non duality can be challenging, especially at the beginning. It requires us to unlearn much of what we have been conditioned to understand and to believe. Yet, by opening ourselves to this perspective, we may discover a deeper, more enduring sense of peace and fulfillment. It's an invitation to explore life beyond the conventional boundaries of perception and thought, and to consider that there might be more to our existence than what meets the eye. This exploration can ultimately lead us to a life we truly love, free from the constant striving and suffering that come from our usual way of seeing the world. Imagine watching a movie. It's a wonderful experience unless we forget it's just a movie. Realizing it's an illusion from the projector and screen allows us to enjoy it, knowing we are safe and our true selves cannot be harmed. When we look deeply into the universe, we see that time has no beginning or end. Space stretches on infinitely. The endless beginninglessness of the universe exists in spirals and circles, repeating endlessly. There was no moment when something came into existence. Instead, there's an endless circle of expansion and collapse. From infancy, though, we learn the concepts of a separate self. These ideas are essential for functioning in this world. However, the problem arises when we think that's all there is and lose touch with the deeper connection to everything in the universe. Losing touch with this relationship makes us feel isolated and focused only on ourselves, leading to loneliness, anger, greed, and selfishness. We don't want to lower our consciousness. We want to expand it to include a sense of oneness, seeing how everything fits together. Nothing happens in a vacuum, and no one is truly alone. We are all part of a vast, interconnected ecosystem. The air we breathe, the food we eat, everything is connected. Recognizing oneness does not mean forgetting our individual identities, but understanding that they are just the surface level of reality. Believing otherwise leads to suffering, making every setback seem life threatening and stressful. By looking beneath the surface, we realize there is just oneness, a peaceful, loving sea or ocean of energy that sustains us. This brings a sense of safety and joy regardless of external circumstances. Physical reality is just part of the story. It's a playground for us to explore with curiosity, discovering colors, shapes, and forms. There is so much more beauty, wonder, and mystery to uncover, where true peace comes from, as it is eternal and infinite. This may all be a hologram, a projection of energy to our consciousness, but it's a wonderful hologram. Like watching a movie, it's a delightful experience unless we forgot it's just a movie. Realizing it's an illusion from the projector and screen lets us enjoy it, knowing we're safe in our true selves. The light of consciousness within cannot be harmed. These physical bodies are part of the show, and consciousness is the light bulb that brings the illusion to life. We've been in the video game for so long that we forget we are in the illusion. By turning our attention inward and our awareness back to on itself, we see that when the show ends, there is still something more. The concept of reality has intrigued me ever since I had the fortune to meet Paul Watzlawick, the author of the book How Real is Reality. This fascination, particularly from a metaphysical angle, led me to a personal conclusion. There are, in my view, three distinct realities: the external, the internal, and the intermediary. To illustrate this, picture, for instance, the ocean with its waves and droplets. Consider two waves approaching the shore. One exclaims in panic, "We're going to crash on the beach and perish." The other wave, more enlightened, responds, "Foolish wave, we are part of the ocean. We cannot perish." We are not just waves, we are also part of the ocean, or the Tao, the divine consciousness, or whatever label you want to put on it. This dialogue symbolizes the inner and intermediary realities. Our limited senses often make us forget that we are more than just individual waves, driven by ego. We are part of, or perhaps even the entirety of the ocean itself. And then there is the external reality, represented by the droplets, distinct and detached from the ocean or even the waves. From another viewpoint, this external droplet reality is driven by having, where success and happiness are believed to stem from possessions or relationships. The intermediary wave reality acknowledges something deeper, like the ocean, but still remains largely ego-bound, striving for meaning to achieve fulfillment. The inner reality, however, is about being, not driven by past wounds, present expectations, or future fears, but existing in contentedness in the present moment. This understanding has greatly simplified my approach to the challenges in my external life. Now, the question is, how can we get there? In my opinion, there is no singular path to this inner harmony or oneness. Each person must discover their own way, or perhaps, as many mystics suggest, cease the search altogether. We'll delve deeper into this topic in the next video. This is the real root cause of all suffering. When the present moment is different from what your mind desires, conflict arises. The mind creates stories about why the situation is wrong and how to fix it, which leads to suffering. If you let go of these desires and embrace the moment as it is, suffering becomes impossible. So, first, acknowledge your fundamental nature, pure being, pure consciousness. Understand that thoughts such as, I don't want this, or why is this happening to me, or when will this end, are just that, thoughts. These thoughts create a sense of identity that finds a twisted satisfaction in having problems or playing the victim. This identity doesn't want the problems to disappear because it thrives on them. Losing this identity would mean facing nothingness, a lack of identity. This mechanism is common in the conceptual self and becomes more pronounced during challenging times, in the body, in relationships, or in work. It seizes opportunities to play the victim. However, by becoming aware of this tendency and recognizing it, you stop identifying with it. There is the phenomenon, and then there is you, the one aware of it. This realization separates you from the victim identity and brings peace. You, as pure awareness, observe without getting entangled. Identifying with these thoughts brings pain and suffering to the current moment. It hurts to believe the narrative that something is wrong. You can instantly free yourself from this pain by recognizing and disidentifying from these thoughts. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Once seen, the thoughts lose their power. Next, focus on the sensations in your body. Our instinct is to avoid pain, but moving away from it often increases suffering. Instead, gently direct your attention to the pain with compassion. View it not as an enemy, but as an innocent presence deserving of love. Notice the sensation. Is it tightness, a stabbing feeling, or heaviness? Fully surrender to it without trying to fix it. Be mindful of the subtle desire to follow this practice just to get rid of the pain, as this brings an agenda that doesn't align with unconditional love. Awareness knows unconditional love, which accepts, embraces everything as it is. Stay vigilant to prevent getting caught in this agenda, as it can lead back to suffering. The root cause of suffering is wanting the present moment to be different. When you stop resisting and embrace things as they are, suffering cannot persist. I have a challenge for you. Drop all pursuits of happiness outside yourself and look within for true fulfillment. I say this because I talk to many people and, of course, have observed this in myself as well. The human ego drives us to change things and seek happiness through external pursuits. But the truth is, we must first find inner peace. Before changing our external reality, we need to find contentment within. You might achieve your dream job, car, house, or partner, but if you have not connected with your true self and understood your divine nature, any happiness will be fleeting. It's the ego's game, keeping us on a hamster wheel, always seeking something outside ourselves to fill a void that can only be filled by knowing the true self. So I challenge you to shift your effort from changing the external to pursuing the internal. Seek the infinite divine being that you already are, whole and complete within. If you're willing to drop the ego and know your true self, true contentment will come to you.